Welcome back to Nintagious for another episode of Critrate. I guess this is episode 4, I think. This is kind of the last tier list I have in the backlog. Well, kind of. Tonight we're going to be looking at and talking about all of the large monsters in Monster Hunter Rise. I've put like 400 hours in Monster Hunter Rise. So I feel like I actually haven't played a lot of it recently. About a month ago, I had a small kick where I probably put in another like 20 or 30 hours or something. But aside from that, it's I think the last time I really seriously played it was like the last update, which was probably several months ago at this point. But I've still put in a lot of time. I did the Kimura Crash Course series, which was a tongue twister, and I probably should have thought up a better name for it, but that gave me a lot of experience with the smaller large monsters in particular, which otherwise you don't see a lot of them in Endgame. But I thought this was a pretty natural idea for a tier list. I've mentioned in other videos that the first two tier lists, and other streams, the first two tier lists I had the idea of doing were all of the minigames in Fall Guys, which I decided not to do just because I don't play Fall Guys anymore. And they've probably added so many more games at this point that the ones that I have played are probably in the minority. And then the other one was this. This was another one that I thought made a lot of sense. I wound up doing the previous 3 episodes first, to 2021 in review, Mario Kart characters and Mario Kart courses, just because they were just kind of on my mind at the time. I still want to get this done, though. But as a result, these might not be as fresh on my mind as some of that other stuff. Hopefully it'll probably still go pretty smoothly. I believe I have every monster here. The only ones I'm not rating are the Apexes, and that's because I just haven't fought the Apexes a lot. I think I fought all of them the first time, but that was like, you're in a siege during that, or whatever those are called. So you don't really get a good idea of how they fight. And then I did the one after that when they made it that you could fight them normally. I'm pretty sure I only fought all of them once, and that was a while ago. I couldn't just tell you off the top of my head, like, oh, Apex Arzuros has this one extra attack. I have no recollection of any of that stuff. I've just under fought those monsters. I do plan on getting back to Monster Hunter Rise before Sunbreak comes out, and still finishing up all of the event quests, and that's probably going to see me having to fight some of them again. But I didn't want to wait that long. I wanted to get this done. I didn't want to put this off any longer than I already have. I wanted to get it done, especially before Sunbreak comes out. We'll probably do another one after I've put in another 400 hours in Sunbreak and add in all the new monsters and see if my opinions of any of these have changed. But yeah, hopefully it'll still be pretty thorough. I suspect there might be a couple of monsters where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Like, they're fine, I guess. I do think the overall roster of monsters, if you want to call it a roster, I mean, it's a roster, in Monster Hunter Rise is pretty good. I think it has the best success rate, if you want to call it that. That's a weird way of putting it. I think it, as far as the monsters being like well balanced, I think it has a very good collection of them. Like, there aren't a lot that I find really frustrating to fight. I'm sure I'm gonna backpedal that, and eventually we're gonna find one in this list, and I'm gonna be like, I hate this motherfucker. So it could happen, but compared to other games in the Monster Hunter series, there's usually a small handful of monsters where I'm like, I hate fighting these guys. A lot of the ones I really hate fighting were actually made a lot better in this game. So I don't expect there to be many in the D and the F tier, if I'm being honest. There might be a couple in D. I don't want to promise that there's not going to be none in F, because I feel like it could happen. And again, we're not going to do the Apexes. I think we still have, like, it's not a lot. It's got to be looks like 40 monsters, somewhere around there. So we still have a bit to go through, and like, hopefully I don't have a lot of... Hopefully a lot of these don't come down to... give me a minute while I sit here and, like, in silence and try to remember this monster. Hopefully that doesn't come up a lot. I think there might be a select few where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't really remember this one, because you just don't have to fight him a lot. I think the Chimera Crash Course will help with that, though, because that was my series where I started a new file, picked a new weapon, and set the goal of beating Magnamalo within a 6-hour stream. Like, getting to and beating Magnamalo as a way of learning new weapons. So a lot of those younger? That's a weird way of putting it. The lower monsters, like, say, Legambi. You don't fight a lot of him in, like, endgame, right? You don't fight him at all. So, but I still got some experience with them. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump in here. I do think that these are mostly in order as far as, like... We're gonna start at the easy ones and work our way up to the harder ones. I believe there might be some weird order consistencies here, but... so, first of all, we of course got Great Azuchi. Newcomer to Monster Hunter Rise. It's the typical... most games have a monster like this, where there's a smaller version as well, and then, but there's, like, I guess the alpha of the pack. This one has the added twist of he actually fights together with the smaller ones. None of the other ones... They would, like, team up on you, but they wouldn't, like, coordinate their attacks, which this one would do. It's still basically the first monster in the game. The first big monster. Excuse me. I may have made a mistake. I just finished recording the 2-hour-long Mario Kart... every Mario Kart course video. Like, just 30 minutes ago. So my throat's still a little tired. I maybe should have not pushed myself to do this, but I wanted to. I felt like doing it. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Hopefully that doesn't happen too often, though. I think I'd probably give Great Azuchi, like, a C. He's fine. As with the Mario Kart courses video, I think C rank is kind of a don't love it, don't hate it kind of thing. It's fine. I thought about jokingly putting below the C, it's fine. Because that's pretty much it. I'm neutral. Nothing to really complain about. I think as a result, I think Great Baggy would probably be the same. A lot of these monsters too have an issue with... Not only do I wish that we got to see more of them, but I wish their armor was more relevant. I guess you can use it for layered armor if you really wanted to. I kind of remember that Great Baggy's armor looks pretty cool. Like, I kind of like it. It has, like, a cool steel kind of look. And I wish that was more relevant. His weapons probably suck as well. They're probably one of those weapons that, like... A lot of weapons have an issue in Monster Hunter Rise, which I imagine will be addressed in Sunbreak, where, they just don't grow very far. They only go up to, like, tier 3, or rarity 3 or 4, and they're just not good. I think I would give him a C. I think there's some things I like better. I like his design better than Azuchi, I think. And I like the way his armor looks. But I think Azuchi might be more fun to fight. Sleep's never terribly fun to play against. So I think that kind of balances him out. I think I'd put him in the same tier. I think Kulu Yaku is probably also a C. I don't know. There's some frustrations with fighting a Kulu Yaku, because that whatever he winds up picking up It's just annoying, right? If you don't have enough sharpness, you're going to be bouncing all the time. But he's also a monster that's really fun to bully. And I use that term, like, very, very loosely, of course. But I don't mean to make light of it or anything like that. But it's one of those monsters that feels good to beat up on him. I guess just the way he reacts, it's just very satisfying. But I think C is comfortable. A lot of the earlier monsters are just kind of safe like that, and you hate to say it, but it's also like, what can you do? And I hate to say that Ragi's probably the same way. I'm tempted to give Great Ragi a B because I like his design. And I personally don't dislike Poison that much. I think a lot of people probably fucking hate it. But if I had to choose between him and Baggy, I would pick Poison over Sleep, for sure. And probably over Paralysis as well. So I feel like that gives him a bit of an edge. Enough to push him up into B, though? I'm not sure about that. Let's put him up there for now. And if I feel like other monsters I'm putting into B are just outclassing him by a long shot, then maybe we'll change that. Arzuros? I think Arzuros is a B. I like Arzuros. He's a simple I'm a fan of the beast monsters. I wish there was more of them. They're cuddly, if that doesn't sound ridiculous. I like their overall style. He has that one attack where if you're behind him, he just backs up and sits on you that I fucking hate, but I also can't be mad, because it's smart, and he's paying attention to the fact that there's people behind him, and I'm getting punished for it, so I can't really hold it against him. Yeah, I think I would go with B. I think Lagambi, on the other hand, I'd probably put up at A. We have a little bit of a trilogy of beast monsters here, and I think Lagambi's a little bit better. He has a lot of the same attacks, but then he also has, like, that tire tread stomach that he, like, slides around on. It's just a cool design. A lot of monsters just... A good design will take you far, and I think that's a good example of it. He's not much different than Arzuros. Yeah, like he has the sliding and he hucks giant snowballs at you, and that's kind of about it. But like, just the little designs like that, just something as kooky as, what if his stomach was like a tire tread because he slides everywhere? It's like, I like it. It's clever, you know what I mean? I think Vulvodon might be an A as well. I think Vulvodon's pretty good. He might even be an S tier. He's teetering between those two. That might be another one where I look later and be like, oh, we put all these monsters in A tier, and Vulvodon's way better than they are, so he should be boosted to an S, but I think A is comfortable for now. Aknasom? Another newbie? I think B. He's fine. He's a little bit better than fine. Like, part of me's like, he's just a bird-like wyvern that shoots fire. Oh boy, how fucking original. Like, there's so many of those, right? But his design is cool. And he's not terribly frustrating to fight. So I think that gives him a nice edge over, say, Yankaku, for example. Like, they're the same basic concept, but the design is stronger, and he's just not a... He's not a little bitch like Yankaku is, you know what I mean? So I think I think that gives him an edge over something like that. Royal Ludroth. Royal Ludroth's another good one. As I said, I don't expect there to be a lot of D's and F's here. I do see one coming up, and I'm not sure where I'm going to put them. But I like Royal Ludroth. It's kind of simple, I guess. But he's got just enough of a splash, no pun intended, to not be boring. You know what I mean? I feel like he's very similar to... now, it's been a while since I played Monster Hunter World. I feel like he's pretty similar to Great Jagras, I believe is what they were called. Except Great Jagras didn't look nearly as interesting. The whole sponge angle for Royal Ludroth kind of makes him pop. That's probably a B. Maybe an A. Honestly, I think he's pretty good. Actually, yeah, I'm thinking A, to be honest. I do think he's a little frustrating to fight, but that's solely because he's one of those monsters that is very, very keenly aware of the fact that you're trying to cut his tail off. And he's very slippery in that regard. He's constantly, like, yanking it out of your range, like, right before you're about to hit it, and that's pretty frustrating. But on the other hand, it's very smart. And, I do like the monsters to be a little bit smarter. I don't know if there's a lot of them in this game. There's a couple, but I tend to not like monsters that just throw themselves at you and just... I've related it to, like, imagine if you as a person were trying to fight a dog or a cat, but instead of actually attacking them, you were just, like, throwing yourself on the ground like a ragdoll in their general direction. I don't like it when monsters fight like that. I prefer it to... because then I just feel like I'm putting a dumb animal out of its misery, right? And I guess some of them are just dumb animals that need to be put out of their misery, but... as in the monsters are. Don't take that out of context. But I prefer it when it's like a battle. Like it is... he's trying to kill me as much as I'm trying to kill him. It's not self-defense. He's angry. That's the... I prefer that type of fight. So when I see a monster do something like that that's smart, that's, like, keeping their weak point out of range, it's frustrating, but it's also, like, it's good design. Makes you feel like it's a living thing you're fighting. Barroth. I feel like Barroth is tricky because I might be wrong on this, but my first monster, for those that don't know, my first Monster Hunter game was Monster Hunter 3, and it was okay. It was enough to get me into it, but then it was Monster Hunter 4 that I really got into it, and then I played Generations, and then World, and then Rise. I might be wrong, but I think Barroth was in every single one of those games. He might not have been in 4. But as a result, I'm tired of him. If I never fight another Barroth again, it would be too soon. But I think his design is pretty good, and like his design and concept is pretty good. I feel like if it weren't for the fact that I've been dealing with fighting them for so long and I wasn't tired of them, I'd probably give him like at least a B. So I'm trying to put aside that bias. I'm thinking maybe B. Another one that fits that niche of I don't want to fight this monster ever again, I'm just bored of it, that actually isn't in Rise, is Uragon. I'm so tired of fighting Uragon. Like, I just don't want to fight at one of those ever again. Which, maybe I should hold that against him, because, and we're getting ahead of the game here, but, like, it says something that I'm sick and tired of fighting Barroth, but then there's other monsters that are very obviously in every game that I'm not as sick of fighting. So, I don't know. Anyway. This one might be a bit of a hot take, and people might not like it. Kezu, I'm gonna give Kezu a D. I really like Kezu's concept. I think there's a lot of really interesting, unsettling, but interesting things going on there. And they do an interesting way of portraying a lot of those things to you by, like, not having music play when you're fighting him and stuff like that. But, annoying motherfucker to fight. I think out of everyone in Monster Hunter Rise, he is my least favorite monster to fight. It's just not fun. He's just an asshole. And to a point, it's, like, kind of smart, because it's like, oh, he knows something's attacking him, but he doesn't know where it's coming from, so he's just gonna unleash a lightning nova. It makes sense, but it's fucking annoying. And it was one of those things where, I think, was he in Monster Hunter 4, or was Generations the first time he came around? For me, that is, because I didn't play Monster Hunter 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure he originated from those. When I first experienced the monster, I didn't immediately hate it, but it's another one of those ones where, like, the more I've fought him over time, the more I'm like, enough is enough. I don't want to fight this monster ever again. Tetronodon? Another new boy. He's at least an A, if not an S. I think Tetronodon is an incredible design. I love how his attacks are very over the top and whoa, dude, but without being like, oh man, that was bullshit. I think he's a very good new monster. He fits the niche of he's a fucking toad monster, and you don't see many of those. A toad wyvern or whatever they're called. There's not a lot of those, so that's pretty cool. He's water element. I feel like there's not a whole lot of water element monsters, even though Royal Ludroth is sitting right there staring at us. He ticks a lot of boxes. I think he's great. I think my only downside, and maybe I shouldn't, his only downside that I shouldn't maybe shouldn't hold against him, is the fact that as a lower difficulty monster, you just don't see him in endgame, like, at all. He's a beginning of the game kind of monster, which is unfortunate that we don't get to see more of him. So I think A is comfortable there. I think if he was if they add like a color variant in Sunbreak and make like a Rockhide Tetronodon or something like that, that'll probably be an S tier. That'll be like, this is fucking incredible. And really, that's what A is to me. A is, it's fantastic, but there's room for improvement. And yeah, that sums him up, I think. Fantastic, but room for improvement. Another new boy, we got Bishaten. I think Bishaten might be an A. I think he's solid. It's tricky because I don't like him as much as Tetronodon, but he's not a B tier. Like, he's better than B tier. So he's definitely A. If anything, that might be evidence that I should punch Tetronodon up to S. I'll think about it. Puke? I might have the hot take of actually liking a lot of Monster Hunter World monsters. And Puke is one of them. It's probably still like a B, though. I think that seems comfortable. You're gonna have to forgive my pronunciation on this one. Euratotus? Who knows? We don't have the comparison going on here, but as far as I like him the most out of the three in this family. I think Plesioth is a bottom tier monster for sure. That thing is terrible. I'd almost be interested to see it in Rise to see if they could rebalance it. There's a couple monsters coming up that are going to be like, oh yeah, this was a bottom tier monster, but they kind of fixed it in Rise, and it's actually cool now. So maybe they could do the same thing. Lavasioth is better by far, and then I think Jira, I don't know. Not gonna work here anymore anyway. I think a B. I think I'm comfortable with a B. I like him. Out of the three, wasn't there an Ice one in Iceborne? I didn't play a lot of Iceborne because it pissed me off. That expansion got a little too Dark Souls-y for me, but wasn't there an Ice one? So of these four, I guess, but we'll go with 3. Basarios? Probably D. This is a good example of what I was just talking about. I think they made Basarios significantly better in this game than he's been in other games. He has better tells now, so you know when he's going to explode in a cloud of fire fart. And, you know, you can get the fuck away from it. Like, it's less punishing to fight him. But I still don't have fun. You know what I mean? And I'm not a fan. And again, it's one of those monsters where he's too slow and stupid to, like, actually deliberately attack you. He just kind of rolls over on you, which is like, nah. Or he just runs at you like a total Wrathion. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Somnakanth, another new one for Rise. Probably a B. Somnakanth's pretty good. As far as sleep monsters go, again, it has very good tells on all of its sleep attacks, so you can actually stand a chance of evading it. It's not like Great Baggy that'll just point blank you with a sleep spitball and then you're just out cold. You have warnings, which makes it a hell of a lot easier to... Not easier, but more fun to fight, because you don't have to worry about, like, cheap shots like that. I think I'd probably go with B. Speak of the bitch. I mean devil. I mean bitch. I mean... Sorry. Wrathion is a... This is kind of what I was talking about with, Baroth. Like, Wrathion I've been fighting just as long, right? And Wrathion is terrible. I would say that they mostly made Wrathion better in Rise, but she's still very capable of doing that bullshit where she just runs at you, turns 180 degrees, runs at you again, turns 180 degrees, runs at you again, and then just for a change of pace, she turns 180 degrees and runs at you again. And it's just fucking annoying. It's so dumb. But it's also... She's another one like Kulu Yaku, where it's fun as hell to beat the shit out of her. It's just real fun. It's just fun to be mean to this thing. And I think that's because she's fucking annoying, right? So you're kind of like... Feels like you're getting some revenge. Feels nice. And I think that might boost her up. I think maybe a C. It's like... I don't think she's terribly fun to fight, but it's still like... If somebody has to fight a Wrathion, I'm not gonna be like... I'll be like, yeah, I haven't fought one of those in a while, that's fine. Like, I usually jump at the opportunity to fight one now, whereas I used to be like, you need a Wrathion? Good luck with that. And I think there's just been some retuning there, and I think that's helped. Barioth's fucking cool. Again, it's a monster that, like, he's trying to kill you. Like, that's a rivalry in the making. Like, cool design, cool element. You see what I did there? I think that's an A. Maybe an S, honestly. Yeah, I'm going to move Tetronodon up to S, and then Barioth is going to join him. We got to get some branching in the A tier, I think. Because I found myself thinking, well, if Barioth isn't an S, then what is? You know what I mean? Tobi Kadachi? That's an A, I think. I think that's a fun one. He's like a lightning lizard with flying squirrel wings. Again, he's trying to kill you. He's not like... It feels like an actual like battle. Guess I don't really know how else to put that. Some monsters you just hunt, and then some monsters you fight. You know what I mean? I feel like this one came up sooner than I was expecting. I guess it makes sense based on, like, the flow of the single-player campaign. Magnamalo. I'd say A tier. I think he's pretty good. He has some nice flashy attacks. I overall like him, I think. He's threatening. It's fun to be afraid of him, you know? And sometimes that, like, oh shit moment that you have against a monster where you're, like, all clenched because you're not sure if you're about to get hit or not. That can be really fun. That can add to things. I think he's a solid A. Anjanath? I think Anjanath is a B. I feel like overall I like Anjanath, but he also has the problem of... I've heard people criticize Monster, and I think this is a fair criticism. I'm not trying to throw shade here, but I've heard people criticize Monster Hunter World in particular about why are you just being mean to the dinosaurs? And I think Anjanath is, like, the best example of that. He's kind of just a dinosaur. Now, he does have, like, those weird wings on his back and shit when he gets mad. And that weird nostril bone that comes out of nowhere. What's the deal with that? So I do think he's still pretty cool, but he's also, at the end of the day, he's just kind of a dinosaur. Nargacuga. I feel like Nargacuga is one of those ones that a lot of people would just give an S rank to. I'm not gonna be that guy. I think it's either an A or a B. I think overall Nargacuga is cool. Like a panther bat. Yeah, when I say it like that, I'm like, yeah, he's fucking cool, dude. I'd say that's an A. I'd say that's an A. Mizutsune. It's a fucking soap dragon, dude. Like, what? What? How do you come up with ideas like that? Is it an S tier, though? I don't know about that. It's kind of annoying to fight. Just a little annoying, though. Not like, fuck that bitch. It's more of just a... Ugh, another Mizutsune? Okay, fine. I think A rank. A rank? A tier? Whatever. You got you get it. Excuse me. I can't clear it out. I should have done that before I started recording. What a fucking professional, right? Goss Harag. I think Goss Harag's an S tier. Do I need to go into this? I like ice monsters, for starters. I like beast wyverns, or whatever the hell they're called. They're cool. He's intimidating. He has that weird thing he does where he knocks you down, and then he has, like, this swagger as he's, like, lining up his attack, which is, like, kind of funny. It's great. It's a fucking ride fighting this guy. I feel like it's one of those ones that I actually haven't fought too many of them. For some reason. It's another one that has, like, that clench factor I was talking about with Magnamalo, where you're like, oh shit, that's gonna hit me. Oh god, it didn't. How am I doing this? Yeah, I think that's an S. I think that's a great design, I think. Rathalos. I think they rebalanced Rathalos a good deal, and I don't mind it as much as I once did. I used to hate it. He has that one attack, which I don't know if he even has it anymore. I think he does, but it got rebalanced to the point where it's not a bother anymore. He'd have this attack where he was flying around, and he would just kind of target you and then dive at you with his talons, and it was impossible to dodge. Like, it would just hit you every single fucking time. It was, like, the best aim, the best lock-on I've ever seen in any video game ever, and it was... I fucking hated it. If he still has that attack, it's significantly easier to dodge, because I don't think I've ever gotten hit with it in Rise, ever. I think it's interesting that they nerfed flash bombs in Rise, or at least it feels like it, because, like, monsters don't stay toppled. If they're flying, which I think Rathalos might be the only one this really works on, if they're flying and you flash bomb them and they fall to the ground, they used to stay down for, like, a full, like, topple, and you could put in a ton of damage. I think they get up, like, right away now. Despite that, I would say he's overall less annoying to fight. I'm never against fighting a Rathalos anymore. If somebody's like, I need a Rathalos, I'm like, alright. Let's go. I'm gonna get me some of that sweet tail. So I think they've made significant improvements there. I might go as far as to say A rank, to be honest. I think they made significant improvements on that monster. Now, at the end of the day, he's still just a dragon, so I kind of can't give him an S rank, I don't think. Because he doesn't have that, like, top-tier design where it's like, what the hell? How'd they come up with this? Almadron. It's like a mud snake ferret. His tail looks like a dead insect. It's very off-putting. I like his design. I like his concept. I kind of don't think he's very fun to fight. He's very flaily, which I'm not a big fan of, from two different aspects. Because if they flail a lot, it's hard to, like, hit their weak points, and if they flail a lot, it makes it hell. Their hitboxes are enormous, and they're gonna hit you with stuff that you didn't even know was coming at you, because it's just very unpredictable. I don't love him. Honestly, I might give him a C. I kind of can't believe that. Because my gut is like, nah, he's at least a B. But I also find myself saying, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. And that's the C tier. Like, that is the C tier. Like, I love it, but I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I think I misspoke there. I think that's accurate. That's probably gonna be the hottest take in this entire tier list so far. I might be persuaded to boost him up to B, but Zinogre? Zinogre might be an S. I think he might be an S. I think that's a good one. Despite the fact that I think he's been in most of the games that I've played. I don't think he was in World. I think he might have been in Iceborne. I've fought a lot of him, but I'm not, like, sick of it. You know what I mean? I'm always like, hell yeah, he's cool. Let's do it. Tigrex? Oh, what a piece of shit monster, dude. He is the example of monster that big dumb animal that isn't trying to fight you. It's just flailing around and just hoping it hits you. Doesn't care what it destroys, doesn't care if it destroys itself. It's a dumb piece of shit monster. The only reason I'm not immediately giving it an F is because it did get better in Rise. Its hitboxes aren't nearly as just hilariously broken as they have been in previous games. He was actually the reason I stopped playing Iceborne, because that's when it was like the point in Iceborne where I was like, dude, these hitboxes are bullshit, and it hits me once and it does 90% of my damage. And I can't upgrade my armor any further. So that's just how much damage he does? This is fucking stupid. Like, that was when I was like, enough is enough. I'm not doing this. I still avoid fighting him actively in Arise. But when I have fought him, it hasn't been that bad. There's a part of me that thinks C tier, but I don't want to give him that much credit. The anguish he's given me in the past is enough to still earn him a D. Diablos. Diablos is totally fine in this game. If anything, it's a little tricky because it's kind of just a dinosaur, right? It has wings, but it doesn't use them, which is a pet peeve of mine. It's like, why are those even there, dude? Otherwise, it's kind of just a dinosaur. He's scary. And he's fun to fight because of the fact that he's scary. I wouldn't say his design is incredibly imaginative or interesting. There's not anything on there like he's a fucking soap dragon. Like, he doesn't have anything like that going for him. But he is fun to fight just because of the fact that he's terrifying. I think that might be enough to be a B. Rachna Kadaki. I feel like Rachna Kadaki's not one... This was a really interesting one, because when I was playing the game when it first came out, I remember for dozens of hours, I was like, where the hell's that fire spider we saw in trailers? Where is that thing? Why haven't we seen it yet? It shows up so late in the game. And as a result, I feel like I just haven't fought a lot of it. It's a really cool concept. Not only in that it's a fire spider, but I like that it throws out its little baby spiders and effectively uses them as wire bugs. I'm kind of a sucker for it. It's honestly a pretty shallow mechanic, but I'm a bit of a sucker for bosses using an ability you have. And just being like, nah, I'm gonna show you how it's done. I think it's usually fun. But I don't think they're terribly fun to fight. And I think that's just because they're a giant hitbox. Its head is difficult to hit. So if you're playing a knockout weapon, you're gonna have a hard time of that. It doesn't have a tail or anything. It's just a big thing, and you can just kind of hit it no matter where you want. Like, it doesn't matter where you hit it. You're doing damage, is kind of what it feels like to me. So I feel like it loses a couple of points for that, but I do think it's a really cool design and concept. I don't know if it's A or B. I'm not sure. I'm thinking A. I'm thinking A is fair. Oh boy. I'm in the fucking Elder Dragon group. So this is another instance of... I fucking hate Elder Dragons. A lot of you guys that come to a lot of streams are gonna know this. Elder Dragons and Legendary Pokemon. I hate them both. Because I feel like the games often tell you, you should care because it's an Elder Dragon. Look, it's an Elder Dragon. It's so cool. Why is it cool? Because it's an Elder Dragon. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Like, I just kind of hate them by default. I find a lot of them to be terribly annoying to fight. But I do think that got significantly better in Rise. I think a lot of monsters were just made rebalanced and made a lot better in Rise. I think that saves them from being immediate Fs for me. If you would have asked me in, like, Monster Hunter World or Monster Hunter Generations, I would have been like, yeah, fuck Elder Dragons. Just 100%. It helps that there's only, what, like 6 of them in Rise? Is that right? That's not too many. Alright, so let's start from the beginning. Kushala Daora. I like his design. I think he looks really cool. As I've said before, I like ice monsters, and him being like kind of a wind dragon is like kind of neat. I think it's a cool concept. I think the poison bullshit, where you had to like dispel the wind, that doesn't seem as punishing anymore. In a lot of earlier Monster Hunter games, it kind of felt like if you are not applying poison to them constantly, then you're just fucked. It felt like really punishing, and it doesn't feel nearly as bad in Rise. I would say that monster got a very large improvement. I can't believe I'm about to do this. I think that's an S tier. I think I'd consider him an S tier. I think it's a cool-looking monster. It's not as aggravating as it's been in previous games. But it still feels dangerous. Like, it doesn't feel easy. And maybe this is just an imbalance with how I've been doing the tier list, but the thing is that I look at the A tier, and I'm like, I like Kushala Daora more than a lot of the stuff in the A tier. Which maybe I've been too forgiving in adding stuff to the A tier, if that's the case. I think we'll stick with it, though. Alright, Camellios. I would say I overall like Camellios, so it's gonna be in there somewhere. It's gonna be in the middle. If we're just looking at the Elder Dragon trio here, like the original, well, if you want to call it the original trio, because I guess Ibushi, is that what that one was called? I guess that was in there since the beginning of the game too. But if you just look at these three, I think Camellios is my least favorite of the three. Believe it or not, because Teostra used to be a I hate this. But again, I think Teostra's been drastically improved. So I think Camellios is probably my least favorite of these three. I think I would say that Teostra's an A tier, and Camellios is a B. I do like his concept. He has a lot of interesting mechanics going for him. He has the stealth kind of... I was going to call it cloaking, but that doesn't seem accurate. I don't want to call it camouflage, because that's not how camouflage works. I'm not going to pretend that that's like, oh yeah, he's camouflaging. No, that's not. I like that. Didn't they change it that when he steals from you in Rise, he steals your Spear Birds instead of your inventory, which is kind of fun? Annoying as hell getting that tail cut and the horn break, though. Like, those are some challenging breaks, for sure. Yeah, I think that's about accurate. And now, the reward for the most improved monster goes to Rajang. Rajang was another one that I was like, this monster is absolute bullshit, and why would anyone want to fight this monster ever? And yet in Rise, he is a hysterically good time. He is so fun to fight in Rise. He's still very, very dangerous and threatening, but it doesn't feel like bullshit anymore. The tells are better. Like, he's at least an A rank. Like, significant improvement. I'm still shocked. I think I tried to fight him, like, once in Generations, and I was like, yo, fuck that. I'm never fighting that thing again. It was complete... Like, it would have been an absolute, like, F tier. It was just a broken monster that barely functioned. It's amazing how much of an improvement they made on that guy. It's baffling. Alright, so these are tricky. Ibushi, Narwa, and... I don't remember their full names. Wind Serpent Ibushi, was it Thunder Serpent Narwa, and then All Mother Narwa? Is that what it was called? I don't think I've ever fought these outside of the first time I had to fight them. Ibushi in particular is very difficult, because I think you only fight him in sieges? No, you fight him normally eventually, don't you? But it's been so long, I don't really remember the fight. As far as, like, those big arena Elder Dragons go, I don't remember hating them. I remember them being fine. I'm just not a big fan of fights like that, I guess. But, like, comparing them to similar monsters from previous Monster Hunter games, like, I didn't hate them. I think a lot of what keeps me away from fighting them again, to be totally honest, is a lot of the time I've put in on Monster Hunter is just playing with randos. And do I need to say anything more than that? Like, when I'm playing with randos, is an Elder Dragon what you want to fight? That sounds like it's just going to be a catastrophic waste of time, right? So I just kind of stay away from it. Maybe Rise players are better than I'm giving them credit for, but I remember in 4 and Generations that, like, playing with randos and fighting even the lower level Elder Dragons was just an enormous waste of time. So I've just kind of stayed away. I guess the biggest issue is I'm having a hard time remembering which of the fights is which. Does that make sense? I do remember All Mother Narwa took us a while. Like, that took us... Like, the first time fighting it, I think that took us, like, I don't know, half a stream. Like, we were on that thing for a while. And it wasn't frustrating. It wasn't like, this is dumb. It was just challenging. I think I feel like it's almost unfair even rating these guys, but I think I'm gonna put Narwa in B and Allmother in B, and then I think I'm just gonna give Ibushi a C. There's a big ol' asterisk beside those, because I don't remember the fights well enough. I haven't done them in months. I've never had the desire to go back and fight him again, so... Crimson Glow Valstrax. I hate the fact that they made it a variant. Couldn't it have just been Valstrax? But whatever, that's splitting hairs. Unfortunately... so this one's tricky. I'm gonna say A. That's, even though I just said it's tricky. I think I only fought Crimson Glow Valstrax, like, once or twice as well. I didn't fight him a lot. I think we were already kind of on our way out with Monster Hunter Rise when those final updates hit, so we kind of did the bare minimum. That's why I wasn't rating the Apexes as well, because I think we fought each of them once and then we moved on, because we had other things to do. So I'm basing that a little bit off of fighting Valstrax in Generations, which I remember enjoying. I think he's a cool monster. Let's start there. The design is fucking fantastic. I'm almost tempted to say it's an S tier, actually. I think I'm going to give it an S. I feel like that's unfair due to the fact that I haven't fought a lot of him, but the design's really cool. Again, he embodies that, like, he's threatening, and you're like, oh shit. Like, is this attack gonna hit me? I like that he can ambush you while you're fighting other monsters. I think that's really intense. Keeps you on your toes, because you have to really pay attention. Like, is there one in the area? I think he's good. I think he's good. And I think that's it. I'm not really surprised that there's no F tiers? Like, that's kind of what I expected to happen. And I think D tiers are pretty accurate, too. And oh, what's this? All right. We do have one more friend, don't we? You know what, buddy? Get up there. You earned it. You've earned it. Basil Juice is a fucking S tier. Excellent design. He's like a bomber jet dragon. I don't. He's just cool, dude. Cool design. It's There was one thing I really hated about him in Monster Hunter World, and that's that, like, monsters glued themselves to you a little too hard in Monster Hunter World, and trying to get away from them was like a futile effort. They would just chase you to the ends of the earth, and it was really fucking annoying sometimes. That is significantly better in Rise, and I think that's a lot of because of the fact that you have, like, mounting and stuff now, so there's systems in play that discourage the monsters from staying in the same area with each other, which is really helpful. In World, it would get annoying. You'd be like, fuck, this guy again? He wouldn't go away. But he's a little bit more of like a rare treat now in Rise, I think. I really liked how they dropped him into the game and they didn't tell anyone about it. On the other hand, you booted the game up and it would immediately be like, hey, could you go fight a Basil Juice? I think it would have been better if they just let him show up at random as just a +1, and you were just like, oh shit, that's a Basil Juice. Like, that would have been really cool. And I'm kind of hoping that's what they do with Deviljho in the future, is that they'll just kind of add him quietly, and then you'll just be like, oh god, there he is. I'm kind of tempted to take away a couple of points because I do think he's kind of annoying to fight. Because there's just explosions everywhere, which means there's hitboxes everywhere. There's just no, like, safe place to be, which it's a little too much. But I think I'm still gonna give him the yes, because I think it's just a fantastic design. I think if they wanted to one-up Deviljho, I think they did a good job of it. Like, it's a worthy successor. Let's put it that way. From the first moment, and I don't know if this was intentional on the community's part, but, like, the first time I saw him in Monster Hunter World, I had no idea what this monster was. It came out of nowhere, and I was like, what the fuck is that thing? So he made a really good impression in that regard. I guess just nobody was talking about it, which is like, if that was intentional, because you knew that the game was building up the hype towards him, and you got to kind of experience it for yourself, then good on you, community, for keeping it a secret. Yeah, I think I'm content with that. Is there anything I want to change here? I think I feel pretty good about that. I think the A and B tiers are maybe a little muddy. There might be a couple there that are like... it could bounce back and forth. Like Royal Ludroth, for example. Like, I have it as an A. It could be a B. The music just ended, and... oh, I put it on loop! Why didn't it loop? Now, let me restart that really quick, although we do need to... that is the end of the video. I hope it doesn't have an ad play. I'm gonna mute this for a second. Nah, we good. There we go. I think, like, realistically, if I wanted to take another couple minutes, I could probably, like, shift all the D's down to F, all the C's down to D, and then split A and B into A, B, and C. I think I would be doing that just for the sake of filling out the tiers, though. Even those 3 in D, I'm like, no, they're not F tiers. I wouldn't go that far. F tier is, like, beyond redemption. Like, you outright make the game worse by being in it. And I don't think they're that bad. I do think there are... I think A and B are a little muddy, like I said. Like, I think if... in particular, there might be a couple in A that I could probably move down to B. Like Royal Ludroth, maybe Bishaten, maybe Vulvodon. Because I guess it's just kind of weighed oddly. Because you have some, like, big hitters like Teostra, but then you also have Lagambi. But what can I say? Lagambi is a good design, I think. Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. I think part of the fun of doing these is just, first of all, not planning ahead and just seeing how my brain figures it out on the fly, and not backpedaling too much. I think in... was it in the... I think in the Mario Kart roster video, I think I backpedaled a little bit at one point and shuffled things around. I think I'm pretty comfortable with how this one looks, though. Overall, a strong monster cast. Like, I think it's a good selection of monsters. I hope that Sunbreak doesn't, like, introduce anything that's just like, oh, well, this is bad. And I say that mostly because of the fact that I didn't like Iceborne. I think a lot of the stuff in Iceborne was just, oh, we're gonna kill you in 2 hits now. And our hitboxes are just barely functioning, and yeah, I didn't have a good time with that. So I hope it doesn't go in that direction. I guess I don't necessarily have a reason to believe it will, because even though I didn't like the way Iceborne did it, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and Generations Ultimate were both fine. Aside from some Elder Dragon fights, like, way at the end of the game, I'd say that they were mostly fine. So, here's hoping. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Whether you were watching the video or watching the premiere live, both appreciated. And yeah, if you were watching the video and didn't know that there was a premiere for it, keep your eye out for those. I try to schedule. My current plan is to schedule the premieres for nights when I'm not streaming around the same time that a stream is, which is usually around 9 o'clock Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern. I don't want to say, like, on these days, because, like, I don't know, that could change easily. I don't know what's going to be next as far as the tier lists go. As I hopefully have remembered to mention before, I'm open to your guys' ideas as far as tier lists go, as long as they are serious suggestions and something I can actually weigh in on. If you tell me to rate every Persona in the Persona games, I'm probably going to laugh at you, because I literally can't name any of them. But you know, if it's something that is a topic that we talk about on stream a lot, and you just are like, hey, why don't you just put this down on a tier list, feel free to throw it out there. I would like to do one on the entire Sonic series and the entire Mega Man series at some point. I don't know if I'm going to set my sights on doing those right now, because those are probably going to be pretty big ones. But if those were ones you were going to suggest, you could probably just skip that, because I probably will do those eventually. But so yeah, open to suggestion on those. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time, whether it's the next crit rate or you come check out First 30. I would recommend that as well. Or you come to a stream, or I don't know, however I see you. It'd be good to have you. So thank you again for watching. If you had a good time, hit the like button, subscribe if you aren't already, drop a comment if you want to start a conversation about all of our monster friends here. As long as it's not Tigrex's top tier what's wrong with you, because you're wrong. But I'm open to the conversation. Hopefully we'll start playing Monster Hunter on stream again here soon, and maybe my opinion. Maybe I can add the Apexes at some point. We'll probably do a sequel after Sunbreak's been out for a bit, and then I'll re-rate all of these, and then add in the new Sunbreak guys, which will, I would assume, like, double the roster. So keep an eye out for that, if that's your kind of thing. So yeah, thank you again for watching, and until next time, whenever that may be.